Rising, my people. Grand Rising, my people. Don't know how long this one's gonna be, you know. Gotta start off my video that way. You see the title. Just want to kind of like jump inside this thing real quick. Grand Rising, Grand Rising, Grand Rising. Okay, so we are 11 months in, and you know, just going back, looking at some stuff, I noticed some things that I was doing that I just wasn't paying attention to at the time. And one of the things that I was doing was I was staying silent. Yeah, I was still speaking to people. I was still talking, but I was staying silent. Do you understand what I mean? I was staying silent. I was being quiet. I was observing things. You know what I mean? So when in the beginning, you know, going through this right here, you know, still trying to figure out certain things. Like I said, you hear a whole bunch of stuff. A whole lot of stuff is coming to your mind. You hearing a lot of things. And like I said, you pay attention to some of this stuff, okay? You got to pay attention to it, you know, because in many cases, you discombobulated mentally, and I get it. I understand that right there. But you pay attention to a lot of stuff because, see, like I said, when you lost your child, a part of you left. Now this new part that's coming in, you have to pay attention to how it's coming in, and you won't be able to pay attention to it if you're in a grief state. You see what I'm saying? And that right there is going to be what your spirit is going to battle. You know what I'm saying? Because, see, like I said, at some point in time, daily, you're going to get some type of message daily. You see what I'm saying? But if you're in a grieving state, it's going to be hard to receive that message. I know firsthand, because when I used to get woke up, and I still get woke up at 2:30, 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, and at that time there's nothing else left to do but think. And it's going to be situations and times where you're going to be put in places like that where you have nothing to do but think. That's the reason why I felt like I was losing the energy that I once had. It was like I was drained. I was drained. All the life in me was gone. You know what I'm saying? Because I needed to sit down and I needed to think. You know what I'm saying? So, like certain situations, you know, internally will feel like an unwanted place to be, even though it wasn't like that. But it felt that way, and that right there kept me from going to certain places. You know what I'm saying? Because again, there was something in me saying that, listen, I need to talk to you, and I just didn't know what it was. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be certain situations that's going to happen throughout this right here process that is going to set you up to a way to where you won't be able to participate in certain activities the way you once would have before. You see what I'm saying? So, yeah, you might not get that invitation to, you know, that little get together that everybody just popped up where before they would have called you and said, come on over, play some cards or something like that. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to get that in some cases. If you do get that in some cases, you probably wouldn't want to go anyway. So they probably wouldn't want to invite you because they figured that you wouldn't want to go anyway. So either way, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be within your spirit to let you know that. You see what I mean? Now, you got to be quiet enough mentally. You got to be quiet enough up there so you could be able to hear this message, because it's a reason why you was chose for that to happen. I don't know what it was. I just believe that it was a reason that for people that lost a child prematurely, it's a reason why you went through that. It was something. It was a reason. I can't put my finger on it. Everybody is different. You got, you know, different people, different folks, different strokes, you know. But yeah, you that right there is going to, when you allow yourself to think, this right here is how you going to hear your subconscious, and you're going to hear the other stuff. You know what I'm saying? This is where you're going to have to start learning how to fix your discernment. You're going to have to adjust your discernment in this process right here. And like I said, the best time to do it is very much more in the beginning stages of this stuff right here, because you wide open. You wide open, and not only are you wide open, you can hear a lot of stuff that other people just cannot hear. They're not in your shoes. So they don't hear this stuff that you hearing, okay? As long as you paying attention to it, and as long as, like, everything that you hear is not going to be comfortable, and you can't write it off. See what I'm saying? Everything that you want to hear is not going to be there, and you're going to have to get comfortable with stuff like that, with events like that. You know what I'm saying? You're going to ask questions at times, and the answers that are going to come to you sometimes are going to be uncomfortable. You know what I mean? This is stuff that you're going to have to get used to, you know? You're going to have to get used to it, you know? And see, I've been asking myself for the longest. See, just like I said, everybody got their own little flaws in how they deal with this right here, okay? Some people got certain things that they can do and they can't do. Now, I got something that I can't do and I still haven't did. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say that I can't do, that I haven't did. And that still look for my son a headstone. You see what I'm saying? I build that up again to go through and have to, you know, shop for that. You know what I'm saying? I haven't did that, and I haven't been down there to his grave. But in that process, I've been sitting back. In that process, I've been thinking. In that process, I've learned a lot of stuff. So now, you know, maybe like at the time, my energy wasn't pulling me there to do those things. It was because I wasn't ready at that time. You know what I'm saying? And your energy gonna let you know that. And for me, I followed that energy. For me, I followed that energy. I didn't go against it. So when it was time for me to you know, go and actually go through with finding his headstone or going down to visit his grave, it wouldn't be such a really big burden. I would hope it wouldn't be a big burden. You know what I'm saying? Versus me forcing it, because at that time when I wanted to do it, it was a real big energy that came upon me. It could have been grief. I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, it made me just close everything out. I don't want to look at it no more. I don't want to even, you know, shop for this thing no more. You know what I'm saying? And that right there could have just been, you know, my spirit saying, no, don't, look, you got plenty of time for that. I need to tell you something real quick. You see what I'm saying? And you got, and it's going to keep on coming until you can, you know, open up your ears so you can hear this stuff, man. I'm telling you. And you got to be able, in order for you to hear, like this, again, you're going to have to do the work. This is part of doing the work. You know what I'm saying? It's about hearing the stuff that you don't want to hear. You know what I'm saying? It's about knowing that you're about to start grieving, and then consciously knowing that you're doing something to offset that. You see what I'm saying? Before you go into it, and it's going to take practice. It ain't something you're going to learn overnight. This right here is going to take practice. You're going to do this so much to where it's going to become you. It's just going to become you. It's going to be your way of life. You know what I'm saying? And that right there is probably the change that people say that they're going to see, or that they've seen. You know what I'm saying? Because this is what you're going to have to live with, man. It sucks, you know, but it could be for the better too, though. You know what I'm saying? But the way that you had to transform that right there in such a hard way, how hard you had to hit that ground, You know what I'm saying? In order to see certain stuff, man, I'm telling you, it's just going to get quiet. Your phone at some point in time, it's going to stop ringing. It's going to stop ringing for a reason, because you need to be quiet and you need to listen. You know what I'm saying? Again, those outings and stuff that you would typically be a part of, you probably might not get invited to some of those. And it ain't because nobody mad at you, but you need to be quiet and you need to listen. You see what I'm saying? Some of those picnics and stuff like that, and going over to certain family members' houses and stuff where everybody was getting together at some point in time. You know what I'm saying? You might not, feel that in you for you to, go through to over there. You know what I'm saying? Because you just energetically, you just not there. You take that time and you listen. You see, it's going to be certain things that just going to get blocked before it even get to you. You know what I'm saying? And you're going to know it because you're going to find out later on. And then when you find out later on, you're going to wonder why you wasn't a part of it. And it was because you were supposed to have been listening. You know what I'm saying? That's my take of it. Like I said, this right here is the stuff that come to me. It don't work for everybody that way. You know what I mean? And so the biggest thing in this right here is just, again, I can't emphasize this. You have to listen to what's going on. I'm telling you. And that's going to delete some stuff. That's going to delete that drama that you listen to. That's going to delete all that nonsense that you look at on social media. That's going to eliminate a lot of gossip and all that low vibration stuff. It should be set aside. You're going to more than likely set that stuff aside. And if you haven't set that stuff aside, it's a good chance that your grieving process is going to take a lot longer to recover. Because you're not listening. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention. And then depending on, see, again, you got free will. So depending on which way you focusing your attention, when you're trying to get this message, you could be blocking it. You could be blocking it. And you got to realize when you're doing this right here, because you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. You know what I mean? I've did that. I have did that because I ain't want to hear what was going on. I wanted to grieve. I ain't want to hear what was going on at the time. I ain't want to listen to the message. I wanted to grieve. Now that's just me talking. Taking accountability on that. There's going to be times where this message is going to come in and whoever giving you this message, you're going to be like, man, look, just shut up. I want to grieve right now. I just want to grieve. How about that? Just let me have my moment for a minute. I don't need you coming in, interrupting nothing. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be times like that. You know what I mean? You just want to just get that good rush up out of you real quick. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be times like that. This little voice going to come back around and it's going to be telling you stuff you just don't want to hear. Like I said, man, you just don't want to hear it, man. Look, let me do me for a minute. And you're going to go to battle back and forth at times with whoever this is or whatever that was talking to you. You're going to go to battle back and forth with it. But see, like I said, you had to lose this child, this your kid, in order to understand what I'm talking about, because talking like this right here sounds crazy to the naked ear of the ones that haven't lost none. But this right here is part of, the stuff that you hear. It opened up a whole different world, man. It's a whole new world. It's a whole new world, and it's going to take some adjusting to get to. It's going to take some adjustment. It's a whole new world to this stuff right here. And it's whatever you make of it. It don't come with no blueprint. It don't come with no type of instructions or none of that stuff. You just got to navigate this bad boy the best way you can see. The best way you see fit for you. You know what I'm saying? The best way you see fit. And recovering is very difficult if you don't know which direction to go. And that's what, when you, like I said, when you listening to that message, in many ways, it'll tell you which direction to go. And these directions that is going to tell you to go wouldn't be a direction that your ego would have told you to go. You know what I'm saying? You wouldn't have never thought to even go in these directions, some of these directions that you know, that you're going to get, you know, that you're told to go. You might not even know. But you're going to have to trust it, though. You know what I'm saying? This right here is going to be one of the biggest trust the processes you will ever have to do. You know what I'm saying? This right here is going to be one of those, you got to trust the process type of deal that you're going to definitely have to see what's working. You know what I'm saying? You're going to have to sit this one right here out. You know? When you feel drained, don't go out there and try to overwork yourself. Go get you some rest. You need it. You know, your spirit need is rest. Your body need is rest. Your spirit gonna tell you all that stuff right there, man. It's gonna tell you all of it. Now, you could try to go against it and offset, like I said, by doing something else. And some people say trying to keep yourself busy and all this other stuff. Yeah, you could try that right there. If that's what worked for you, hey, have at it. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it wasn't nothing about keeping myself busy. I couldn't keep myself busy. I couldn't do nothing. You talking about keeping yourself busy. I couldn't even get out the bed. Talking about keeping yourself busy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to leave the room. Go downstairs. None of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to do none of that. Because spiritually, I was drained. I didn't want to do nothing. Nothing. You know what I'm saying? So for ones that can get up and can move around and do stuff like that, hey, I take my hat off to you. There's people that's like that. I got a guy that, you know, I got a homie right now that, you know, he lost a parent. And he never stopped going to work. And that right there is his way of offsetting, you know, having to deal with whatever it was that he have to deal with. That's not to say that he don't deal with it, but, you know, that was his, you know, way of getting past, you know, his grief, you know what I'm saying? Or working through his grief. He kept working. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the energy. For real, I didn't have the energy. That was my boy. That was my little baby. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have the energy. I ain't worked since. You know what I'm saying? In the workforce, just didn't have the energy, man. Just didn't have the energy. But in the process, like I said, I listened. And a lot of things that I listened to, if sat back and watch how it play out, how stuff play out, you will come to see that a lot of this stuff is true. You getting a lot of answers right now, and it's going over your head. Because you're doing too much stuff on the outside of you through your ego to offset what's being told to you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what's happening. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I'm doing? Yeah, that's what you're doing. So I start sitting back and I start paying attention. And sure as ever, the answers are quiet. You got to be in a quiet place. Get yourself in a quiet place. You don't want to hear nothing. Get in a quiet place. You're going to hear a lot of answers, man. And the best time, like I said, is when ain't nothing going on at about the times that you're going to typically be woke up around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why is that time in specific. I don't know why is it between 3 and 4 o'clock in specific. Why in many cases you are woke up. I'm woke up around that time. You know, but it's for a reason. Who knows? But if you're quiet enough, you will get that answer. You sure will. You will get that answer. And when you get that answer, you're going to know it's the right answer because it's going to be like a light bulb. Something going to light up in you. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. And it's going to be from a question that you probably asked a while ago. It's going to be some stuff running through your head. You know what I'm saying? And you just listen and let your spirit do the work. I'm telling you. But this right here is the reason why I wasn't, you know, invited to certain things. Not that nobody was mad at me or anything. Or the reason why I didn't find out about certain festivities until it was over with, or the reason why, you know, your presence just been mute to a lot of people. You know, it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't surprise me now that I know, because it was messages that was getting downloaded that I need to process. You're gonna get a lot of messages that get downloaded. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. You gotta listen for those downloaded messages, and that's what I was doing. I was listening for those messages that was being downloaded, and I'm still listening for them. I listen for them every single day. Every single day, because I told you, you're going to get one. Two, you're going to get many. Is when you start listening to them that you know, that you know, is when you start listening to them and zeroing in on them, and you'll start seeing you'll start seeing different results. It's tight. You got, like I said, you got to find your own way. You're going to have to find your own way. You're definitely going to have to find your own way. Yeah. So, man, when I did that, it just felt like a burst of energy came out when I took that sigh, and that released something. It released something in here when I did that too. I don't know what that felt good, but it released something. But anywho, again, I'm about to go ground. This is a perfect time to ground. Sun is out. Grass right there. I'm about to go ground, pull some of that energy up off of me, and that's pretty much all this video was about. You know what I mean? Just listen for the message, man. It's tight, man. We still going through some stuff over here. I know I am. About to be a whole year. About to be a whole year, man. And I'd have never thought, for real, like a year ago today, I would have never thought that I would have less than 3 weeks with my son. I would have never thought that in a year ago today, that the time clock was winding down and I would not have my son 3 weeks later. This time last year. Oh, man. Okay, well, I get with y'all later, man.